a paltry part of their oil and gas revenues that the state government was getting. Now, I mean, for people who don't understand what we're saying, let me boil it down to you folks one more time. In 1998, now the county, the city, the feds, the water districts, the school districts, countless other government agencies, healthcare groups, all this stuff that they're supposedly public, government, they're telling us that they have to increase our taxes because we're running deficits. Then you read their own lavish reports, and all of them put them out because they trade these amongst themselves in this big empire building. They're all bragging to each other that they've got the biggest empires. Texas does it right here in this year's report from the comptroller. Not a word of the budget in here, folks. It's like me making $100 a week, but I tell my wife I make $2, and I tell her my budget is $2. She never hears about the $98. I spend more than $2. I spend $3. I say, honey, we're over budget $1. You're going to have to go get a job. And she goes, you know what? We got to tighten our belts. We will go get a job. Meanwhile, I'm investing that $98, or I'm saving that $98 every single week, and she never knows anything about it, and I'm taking her money and doing it. Well, we're the woman in the relationship. The government's the mean man here, to use popular nomenclature, and we're getting screwed. And the same folks that run the Federal Reserve run this system, and it is abominable. Walter, it's like on the radio today. We had a bunch of callers call in, and they still couldn't get over the fact that we have a deficit. Explain why they hype that up, the deficit pertaining to the budget compared to the real gross cash receipts the government's bringing in.
Do you remember the example I gave to you on the phone when we were talking privately of you having two neighbors?
Yeah.
Can I give that example?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, say for example you have two neighbors, Bob on your right side, Jim on your left side. Bob comes knocking on your door. Alex, lost my job, I got to pay the rent. Can I borrow $500? And you're there. You're a nice person. You go, okay, here. Jim on your left side knocks on your door. He goes, hey, Alex, we're going down to the Bahamas this weekend. Drink Mai Tais on the beach. Do you want to come? We're flying out in my private Cessna. You're there. Sure, let's go. I can squeeze it in. You get back. Bob comes knocking on your door again. Hey, Alex, my wife's in the hospital. She's sick. She needs an operation. I need $2,500 or she's going to die. You're there. Okay. You give him $2,500. Jim on your left side knocks on your door again. Hey, Alex, we're flying over to Zurich for the weekend. Going to have breakfast. Do you want to come? You're there. Sure. I can squeeze it in. Well, you're going to watch Jim on your left side closer than a hawk waiting for what's going to happen next. Bob, you cringe if you think he's going to knock on your door. You don't even want to think about him. Government constantly keeps taking more and more and more, and they have the public cringing. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want anything to do with it. I'll pay my divvy and forget about it until next year. And they kept perpetuating their game over and over again. And the tens of thousands of people involved within the syndicate, and it is a syndicate, a corporate syndicate, sat there smiling and laughing every single day all the way down to the bank.
Now remember, folks, this is not speculation. Walter we're building a website. There are dozens of other websites of people that have copied Walter's expose, which Walter's actually happy about. So you type in CAFR into the net, Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, thousands of links will pop up. 98% of them are government bragging. Here's our Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. Counties, cities, water districts, the feds bragging about how they own 70+% of Xerox, how they own most of Ford, how they own most of Dell, how they own most of Coca-Cola, all of these publicly traded companies. It's a sick joke. So when you see that, I wanted to let folks be aware of exactly what that means so that they'll be able to write down.
Back when Microsoft was having problems with the court, the head of the New York State Retirement Pension Fund for the state employees came forward saying, we think Microsoft is a good company, and we're not going to sell off our 78 million shares of Microsoft. You know, in Texas, I think it was Austin or Houston, the Board of Education last year, or about 2 years ago, Disney had made an objectionable film.
Austin,
and the Board of Education said, we're going to divest ourselves of our multi-million-dollar holding in Disney. And the public's saying, what are you doing with $40, $35 million in Disney? How much do you have in other stocks? You know, the bottom line is we left the vault door open, and a runaway freight train just started building up more steam, more momentum, more momentum. And it's a law of physics that an object in motion will stay in motion unless acted upon by an equal and formidable force to slow it down. And the good point here, Alex, they implemented this program in 1945. It took off steam full force in 1980. And in that time period, you'll see the growth within government probably 4, 5, 6, 7, 800% in some cases. And they built a phenomenal...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back live. We've got Walter Berian on the line with us. We're going to recap who Walter Berian is, how he got involved in this, and exactly what we're talking about, and then launch into some case point examples of this biggest game in town. I would suggest that everybody out there tape this show, spread the word. This is real news, one of the top 10 stories of the century. We just keep bringing it to you over and over again. To boil it down for you, simply, the government is running gigantic surpluses. But like Walter Berian says, when is there really a surplus? If the Roman Empire had 1 million slaves, they could always use 1 million more. The wino's got 2 bottles of Ripple. It's not a surplus. He wants more. They can't stop. The state of Texas has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars in surplus. Total and complete surplus. This is the 1999 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. In the 1998 one, it clearly shows $435 billion surplus. Also shows numbers around that in the 99 version. Anybody can get this from the comptroller. If they try to refuse, Walter Berian will tell you places where you can. It's free of charge. Everybody should know. Go to the library, they'll have these. But you never hear about it in the press. You never hear about it in the media. You never learned about it in economics in college, did you? You heard about the budget, the budget, the budget. Going back to an analogy, I make $1,000 a week. I tell my wife I'm only making $100 a week. She sees me on the personal computer doing my budget on Quicken, QuickBooks, whatever. I tell her, honey, you're going to have to get a second job. We spent $150 this week. We're $50 over budget. Oh, dear, we'll lose the house. Oh, dear. Oh, dear, we'll lose the new car. Oh, dear, we won't be able to go see, the family at this Christmas back in Chicago. Meanwhile, I'm going, because I've got 900 extra a week I'm socking away. And that number goes up if I made $1 million a week. And I only told you about 100,000. It'd be the same if I made $1 billion a week. And I only told you about a couple million of it. It would be the same if I made $1 trillion a week, and I only told you about a couple billion of it. And we have these huge discussions and media debates, and it was in the Statesman a few days ago that Texas Rainy Day Fund only has a few million in it, 80-something million. We need tax increases if a recession is coming. It's all about control. When the state of Texas, in their own books, public record, with the media so controlled, are running gigantic surpluses. The state of Texas, all the 50 states, every county, every city, every water district, school districts, they're all in business, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking to Walter Berian. Walter, recap.
What you just said there, I just thought of the perfect story from the past. Going back 10 years ago, Jim Florio, when he got elected on his no new tax platform and then had a $2.8 billion tax increase, he decided to go on a 2-week tour of the state every day, stopping at a new location, talking to the public. As he